Hi, everyone. So let's get into the statistics for September. In Calgary, it's been a little bit slow, a wee bit slow. I would say that the froth is definitely coming out of the market. It's calming down, not nearly as many bidding wars, a lot more listings sitting on the market. If a listing is overpriced, it's not going to sell. It might not even get any showings, and I've seen that a few times. Our sales down 17.6% year over year. New listings up 15.5% year over year. Inventories up a whopping 49.7% year over year. That's a lot. Months of supply up 81%. This is when Bart Simpson would say, "Ay caramba." Months of supply, that's a lot. 81.6% increase to 2.53. Still a balanced market. It's not a buyer's market, but it's really not a seller's market. Our price is still trending upwards, 5.5%. Overall, detached up 8.8%. Semis up 9.5%. Row price up 10.2%. We would normally call it a townhouse in normal speak. And apartment style condos up 13.9%. So the prices are still trending upward, but it is seriously cooler out there. Let's see what areas of the city have been doing the best. So, keeping with the trend, we've been seeing the east segment of the city, so just to the east of downtown, the most stigmatized area of the city traditionally has gone up the most in value. 13% year over year, followed by the northeast, up 9.5%. And then the south, most people would call that the deep south, or for the most part, that is in the southwest, although there's a bit of the southeast there too. That's up 7.6% year over year. The west, up 6.6%. Northwest, up 6.3%. Southeast, 4.2%. And city center, only 2.3%. So no one wants to live downtown. The north, which is kind of straddling the northeast and northwest, north of downtown, up 5%. So if you're living in the east, so the kind of not so nice area of the city, prices are still going up quite considerably. Downtown, they're pretty much staying put. And in the more expensive areas of the city, the west, northwest, south, going up still, but not as much. And boots on the ground feeling, it's quite softer than it was. Now let's check out. Let's see, here we are. Month supply and price changes. So where are we for month supply? Month supply is the blue bar right there. So we're at the highest months of supply since 2021. So since like mid COVID era. So it's still not a buyer's market, but if you want to sell something, you have to price it competitively. Let's look at the cities and towns around Calgary. All right, let's take a look at the cities and towns around Calgary. Airdrie. Prices still went up 6.8% year over year. Sales up slightly. Inventory's up enormously, 74%. And months of supply also up 65%. Pretty big change in the market right there. I always I think real estate's a lot like sailing. You could be sailing really fast like that, and the wind changes, and now your boat's like that, and you're not really going all that fast. So the wind has changed for sure. Cochrane, prices up 8.7% year over year. Inventory up 24%. Months of supply up 32.9%. But we're up at 3 months of supply. That's a solid balanced market. We're not in a seller's market at all. If you have something in Cochrane to sell, you have to price it competitively. Okotoks price 8.9% up year over year. Sales basically flat. Inventories up enormously, 49.3% year over year. Months supply up 46.5% year over year. We're at 2 months supply. A balanced market leaning towards a seller's market, but still you gotta price things competitively. And let's see what areas of the market around Calgary went up the most. Beep, beep, beep. All right. Oh, High River went up 10.5%. Okotoks 10%. Canmore went up 10.2%, but I don't touch Canmore because it's so different from everywhere else around here. Cochrane up 9.3% year over year. Airdrie up 8.2%. Chestermere up 8.4%, and Strathmore 7.6%. So the areas around Calgary outperforming Calgary itself quite substantially. And High River, being quite cheap and quite a bit far out from Calgary itself, enjoyed the greatest price increase. Now let's get into some news. Hello. All right, let's look into some news. Canada risks drop in living standards amid worsening productivity. So Canada has been run by some fairly corrupt individuals for quite some time, and we aren't developing the nation as it should be developed. We aren't extracting our natural resources and processing them. That's what our nation is about. That's what we're supposed to do. Instead, we have just been building homes for many years. Doesn't make any sense, and it doesn't lead to long-term prosperity. Bank of Canada on a straight line path toward 2 more cuts and cuts and cuts on top of that. So the interest rates going down, for the variable rates going down. Looking at some variable rate mortgages right now, we're still in the 5s. We're probably going to get a 50 basis point cut this month. The fixed rate mortgages, this is insured, so it's a little bit lower than if you're paying more than 20% down, but we're in the high 3s and mid 4s for an insured 5-year fixed rate mortgages. Again, these are determined by the bond yield, and I'll show you that right here. We're at 2.792, which it's been a sideways for a little bit. But if we look at the year-to-date chart, we started just above 3, went up, and now we're down in the 2.7 range. If we go back a few years, back during COVID times, we were in the mid-1s, 1.2, 1.3, 1.45, and then it went right up. But we're trending down towards that again. Canada's inflation cools to 2% in August, the smallest gain since early 2021. So this is likely going to allow the Bank of Canada to drop the interest rate more than it did. So the Fed, the Federal Reserve, cut their basis point, their interest rate by 50 basis points this month. They're probably going to cut it some more going forward. That gives Bank of Canada an opportunity to cut more, because if our interest rates get out of line with the Fed in the US by too much, then it affects our currency. If our interest rates here are much lower, it could negatively affect the dollar, which we don't want too much of that. All right, getting into a little bit more local news. It sounds like the Green Line, the LRT line in Calgary that's been talked about for many, many years, probably isn't going to go through. So because of an issue with getting funding, it's probably not going to happen. It's hard to say. But for now, they've kiboshed that, which is really stupid because they've already bought the Eau Claire market. And I don't know if they've torn it down yet, but they're in the process of getting that done. All right, why it's very hard to find work in Canada. For every vacant job in Canada, there are 2.4 unemployed people. That's not the best of odds. And considering that the economy in Canada has not been that great for a while, you really have to wonder why the government has been just stuffing the country full of people that won't be able to find work. Not well managed, in my opinion. Calgary gets a new multi-purpose arena. So it's going to be a place for you to watch hockey games and see concerts and whatnot. And so if you're moving here from Toronto, you'll have something to do. All right, we might be getting a new 2,100 unit community north of Okotoks. So between Okotoks and Calgary, the distance is getting less and less as the area just gets developed. Soon it will just be city and you won't notice any difference at all. But for now, there is a little bit of countryside between Calgary and Okotoks, soon to be developed. New home construction down 22% in August, says the CMHC. So we're down 22% nationwide. Let's see if we get into provinces. No, we don't in this one. I'll find the stat right now. So I found the stats for housing starts across the country, and this is highlighting Alberta. So Alberta's here in the green. We're up 18.4% year over year. Nationwide, it was down 22%, as that article explained, but that's from Ontario, British Columbia, and Saskatchewan doesn't really count, but it's BC and Ontario that are really driving that downtrend, as well as Quebec. But Alberta is bucking the trend, 18.4%. All right, and with regards to the blanket rezoning, there are certain communities that are trying to get residents to sign on to getting a restrictive covenant on title. That would basically prevent the densification in that area. And this restrictive covenant is something you would voluntarily sign up for, saying, okay, I'm not going to allow a suite, a garden suite, none of that, just one dwelling on the property. It would, for the most part, nullify the effect of the blanket rezoning in a community that uses them, but you need to get people to sign on to them. And if you have that one dwelling requirement on the lot, well, you could also just subdivide the lot to sidestep that restrictive covenant. All right, that is all. If you're moving into or around Calgary, give me a shout. There's my phone number. Take care.